speaker, Jim Wallace, is the executive director of the Gun Owners Action League of Massachusetts. Yeah, give it up. Come on. Right? He's an avid sportsman, he's an avid gun owner, and Jim also served our country in the United States Army from 1983 to 1986. Thank you for your service, Jim. As the educational director for Gold, Jim continues to steer important legislation protecting the rights of the Commonwealth's sportsmen and gun owners, and continues to protect those rights from being usurped by unnecessarily restrictive licensing and gun legislation. Jim has been instrumental in shaping legislation to create a more streamlined and more fair gun licensing system, protecting gun clubs and shooting ranges from costly compliance measures, enabling the sale of shooting ranges, of competitive target shooting handguns, and clarifying the law regarding the transportation and usage of loaded firearms. Jim Wallace is a strong, well-spoken, accomplished, and effective advocate for gun owners and protecting the Second Amendment. Let's give it up for Jim Wallace of Gold.
Good afternoon, everybody. How we doing? That State House is up there. You gotta let them know you're here. How we doing today? That's a little better. That's a little better. Before I get started, I got a little scratchy throat, so here's one for Marco Rubio, huh? If I were him, I'd buy every bottled water company there was out there and put my name on it. Rubio for president. What the heck, right? Hey, by the way, while I'm up here, if you could all scoot over this way, because I want to get a picture of what a couple of dozen people look like, all right? Listen, folks, we've got quite a fight on our hands coming up, and I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. And whether it's about taxes, education, the Second Amendment, you name it. But the one thing you can do to help yourself is to make sure that the people you're arguing with don't control the argument. The other day, I was at a couple of debates, and I was referred to as a tired, angry, old white guy. Well, let's look at that. I'm tired because I've been working since I was 13. I'm angry because I see what's left of my paycheck at the end of the week. I'm old because I raised a family and been married to the same woman for 26 lovely years. And I'm white because my parents got together. Now, if any of those things are supposed to negate my opinion on things, somebody needs to explain that to me. And so far, they haven't. The other thing that has come up against is what the Second Amendment really stands for. And it's, even though I'm a hunter, hunting is a benefit of the Second Amendment. That's not what the Second Amendment's supposed to be there for. The Second Amendment is supposed to be about us protecting ourselves against a runaway rogue government. That's what the Second Amendment's supposed to be for. That's why we need large capacity magazines, but that's a different story. Once again, I was hammered because a couple of folks said, well, Jim, you know, you're relegated to 3 rounds in your magazine to hunt duck and 5 rounds to hunt deer. So why do you need more than that? And I said, well, so far, deer and ducks have not launched an armed assault on a school. Today, anyway. And they have not figured out, using their paws and wings, how to actually return fire. So when they do, we'll address the 3 and 5 rounds for hunting. But until that, I want as much ammunition as I can possibly hold in my gun to defend my life, my freedom, and my family, and anybody else who needs saving, because the government ain't gonna do it. Now, I was asked by these people that I was debating, come on, Jim, you know, the right to keep and bear arms, the regulated militia. When's the last time anybody actually formed a militia to protect anything? You look them right in the face and you say on an airplane, Flight 93, over the fields of Pennsylvania, our citizenry took arms, well, they didn't have any arms, but took control of that plane to save our nation's capital. If that's not a militia, I don't know what is. And of course, you always get the arguments too that, you know, Jim, and this one came from Jerry Belair from Stop Hang Gun Violence. I love debating this guy, he's so ignorant. But he said, come on, Jim, you're always talking about, you know, how the Second Amendment is supposed to be protecting us from our country, or from our, not our country, but our government. And he says, do you really think you guys are going to take on the U.S. Air Force with your rifles? And I looked right down the table and said, who said they were on your side? Those men and women driving those planes are our friends. And oh, by the way, Jerry, if you're driving down the highway and everything's going to hell and you start seeing a little squiggly red line on the hood of your car, I'd get out. Because something's coming out of the sky you won't like. And that billboard on the Mass Pike is not going to help you when that happens. So anyway, folks, there's a lot of legislation going on up on the Hill right now. There's a lot of legislation going around the country. Notice the one thing, though. As far as the Second Amendment issues go and the gun issues go, the reason we're having this discussion now, the catalyst for this, was because there was a killer in the classroom. We lost 20 babies to a psychotic killer. And I actually debated a professor at Boston University who said, technically, that person was not insane, he was just a cold-blooded killer. I'm not a psychologist, but something's wrong there. If you're a cold-blooded killer, I think there's something wrong upstairs. But maybe he just wants him to run for office, I'm not sure. But anyway, if you look at all of these conversations we're having, it's because there was a killer in the classroom. If you look at the government's proposals, whether it's the White House, Congress, Senate, Massachusetts, local, there is not anything in any of those proposals that deal with the killer in the classroom. Period. They are all about restricting our civil rights, not dealing with a human criminal element that needs to be dealt with so that we are all safer.
That's right. Almost like they want another thing to happen. Another excuse.
I was asked how many rounds do I need in a magazine. My direct answer was, it's none of your darn business how many I need. Because when my government starts to ask me why I need something, oh, that's when things get a little dangerous. But here's the issue. Because the subject is about a killer in the classroom and not about lawful people, when they talk about 7 rounds in the magazines, my response to them is, so you're okay with a killer having 7 rounds? Well, no. Well, that's what we're talking about, a killer in a classroom. So 7 rounds is okay for a killer. Well, no, Jim, it's, no. We're going to limit everybody. Okay, so you're not limiting the criminals, you're just limiting us. Well, no, that's not what I said. Actually, yes, that's what you said. So always do not accept the premise of their argument. Make sure you're the one setting the stage for that. Make sure you're the one who's educated on your subject matter. And by the way, when it comes to taxes, there's actually a bill up there right now to tax the purchase of guns and ammunition by 25%.
What?
And they actually want to use that tax money directly for mental health care. And I would definitely say anybody who thinks 25% tax is okay is going to need some mental health care. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Please support Gun Owners Action League, and we'll talk to you later.
Let's give it up.
Yeah.
Our numbers are growing. You can't see it from where you are, but from where I'm standing, the crowd is getting a little bit bigger and bigger, and it's filling in, so more people are showing up, which is great, because last year they had 1/3 this crowd. Very good.